Hello and welcome to Slot Professor's horse racing tips for Saturday the 4th of May. We're going to be looking at 4 races. We're going to start with the 150 at Newmarket. It's a bit bigger. Okay. So basically, it's quite a straightforward race. This purely because Power of Darkness is the obvious choice. Um, Last race it was all right. Came out, ran fairly reasonably. Still open to a lot of improvement on the upgrade. But personally, for me, 7-2 is a bit skinny on it. Um, it's still a decent bet if you want it, if you fancy it. Marif is another one that is on the upgrade. The fact that Sousa is on it for Haggis is an indication of they're fairly confident of a decent ride. Again, 4-year-old coming in to improve after its 3-year-old. It didn't have that many races. It showed some ability. How much ability? It's going up a lot more tougher kind of horses. Again, not too keen on the price. And then outside of these two, you've got horses that have all shown bits and pieces, or all thereabouts, or have had one or two hiccups along the way, but represent better value. You've got Ibras. Didn't really run well on its reappearance, but again, it's only its first race out. It could be one of the horses that takes 1 or 2 races to get into sort of rhythm of the racing. We will see. But at 10-1, it represents some value. It has some ability. You're taking the fact that you hope that the last race was just a blip and a fitness sort of thing. Then you go up to the top one, Vintager. Again, same thing. It's been in a couple of toughish races. It's probably in a way going down in a bit of class against this field. So would not be a surprise to see this. It is carrying a little bit more weight than the rest of them. So I don't really know where to put this one. The last 2 races, just the fact that it went up too high in class. Who knows? That's why you're getting 9-1. But technically speaking, it's probably the highest rated. So that again is one of those horses that you either take your faith in or not. Okay, and finally we go to Exec Chef. I had this last time out. I was not exactly happy with the way it ran. I didn't like the race it was given to run. I'm gonna sort of just scratch the last race out of its race because I don't think that was the right. I just don't think it was the right way it was ridden. I think there were so many things that weren't right for it in there. So 10-1 makes that very, very appetizing. I thought it'd be a little bit shorter than that. So basically, to sum up, my choices are really: do I go for Power of the Darkness as the sort of like the win sort of thing? Do I try something that I think had a bad race last time. There are some other horses around that I could probably give cases to, but there's nothing here that's bang consistency. So I'm going to go with Exec Chef and hope that it was a blip on its last race and that this might be a much better race for it this time round with the right kind of run. It should be in the frame. So there we go. Check. Exec Chef each way. Moving on. 205 at Goodwood. I'm not going to touch purely because the favourite Classique is a very good horse. It'll be very hard to beat it. The prices on the stuff, on the other things to beat it are pretty skinny. I mean, Crystal Moonlight's a decent horse, but I'm going to leave it because I pretty much think that the race is for the favourite here. No each way. There's no third place, so there's no each way value. Or else, if it was 3 places, I'd be really tempted to maybe go with Lorena, have a punt on that. But with no 3 places, I'm going to avoid that one. Okay, coming to the 220 at Newmarket. The bottom weight is favourite. Brian Moore horse. Basically, it's had some racing. It was raced in Navan. Class-wise, it's probably the best horse on paper. 7-4, man, is really, really skinny. You got the other end, Mab's Cross. Don't really like its draw. Don't think it's in the best place. 11-2 is a bit skinny. The one that sort of was interesting was the variant horse, Queen of Desire. Queen of Desire here is going up in grade again. I mean, 16-1 is if you want to take a leap of faith that it's going to compete in this, 16-1 might look very, very short price, to be fair. I always think over 5 furlongs you need to have the class though, because there's no room for a date. 5 furlongs, you've not got time to mess around. You can't get in the wrong place or anything like that. But I'll be interested to watch that. It wouldn't be a shock if it came somewhere. You've got Taboosh, another horse that's there or thereabouts. I have the feeling it might be a little outclassed this time. El Astronaute, love the horse. Again, it's starting to struggle in the races that it's in. I think this might get caught. I know this likes to race prominent. There's a lot of pacey animals here. And it could not work. It might not work to El Astronaute's favour if it gets in a bit of a duel. It'll burn itself out too early. The one I'm sort of leaning towards is Judicial. This horse it's been in this race 12 months ago. It was beaten just by Mab's Cross. I think it's in a better situation than it was in that race. I think there's some value in this. I'm going to take a risk and punt on Judicial. I think it's got the biggest value in that. If you take the favourite out, you're either looking at like the values pretty much Mab's Cross, El Astronaute, Judicial, maybe Taboosh, Queen's Desire for personally. The things that are all possibilities. Is quite competitive, hence the reason the spread of the odds. But for me, Judicial offers some obvious form lines and form in this race. Keep my fingers crossed that they do, because it likes to come from behind. That they do a fast pace and burn each other off for it to get to them at the end. So hopefully I'm right in reading that race. Okay, moving on to the 240 at Goodwood. Had a quick look through this. Goring is a frustrating horse. I've had it in the past. £7 claimer on it again. Not surprised. It's a very frustrating horse. It's hard to predict how it's going to run. It's got ability. 12 to 1 could look very, very good odds if it's in the right frame of mind. Especially with a lot of these horses that don't look to be showing too much at the present moment. The favourite, Quiron, is an obvious choice, consistent. Yeah, I mean, 3 to 1 looks a bit skinny. Is it a certainty? No. Is it going to be in the frame? Most likely. Hence the price 3 to 1 in a race that's quite probably weak. You've got Love Dreams coming back from the last race back into some form. But again, is it still too high? Is it still not enough? Then you've got the top weight for 3, Saints Bay. I get the feeling it's getting close to handicap sort of hell. Might be able to get away with the penalty against this crowd. Personally, not too keen on it. So this race is kind of really difficult. You just go for the obvious Sir Michael Stout horse and just hope that it's got enough. I mean, you're probably going to be nailed on for a place here with this, but are you going to get the win? That's what you're asking for, really. With it not being so competitive, it's a difficult one to call. I'm going to go with Sir Michael Stout's horse. I just feel like the only other one I could go for is go for the value and Goring, but he's such a hard horse to get right. It's just 7-year-old now, and he's getting quirky. He doesn't always put his best foot forward on the right day, but it wouldn't be surprising to see him up there. 3 Saints Bay to me just looks heavily handicapped. And Love Dreams, personally, I'm not confident that it's getting back into a competitive mark. So it really doesn't leave a lot apart from Sir Michael Stout's horse. So we're going to go with that. We'll do that as an anchor, because we've done some quite big odds on the other ones. So right, moving on to the 335 at Newmarket. Looking at the top one, Advertise, interesting horse. Gives you an idea of where we're coming from, how competitive this race is. It's ridiculously competitive this year. The Guineas is always hard because there's like horses with like 2 wins and you don't really know what the level of their thing is. But Advertise has had quite a few runs and it's shown quite a lot of ability all over the place. Now the question is it gonna improve for the mile? I'm not convinced. Not really ecstatic about the taking that on at the price that it is. Moving down further, you've got Great Scott, 16 to 1 is again another horse that it ran well in second, even though it got defeated. It was beaten. I thought it ran a decent race. Maybe the mile would do it some better. I wouldn't be surprised to see that in the frame. It really didn't scream to me that it wasn't. It still looked a bit green, and it probably needed that run. An interesting one is Mad Moon. It's hard to gauge this. It's had two runs over a mile, one over 7 furlongs. It looks like a mile is where it's at. Not really had a lot of competition. How good is it? it's hard, and it's hard sometimes with these Irish horses to gauge the quality of, because they don't have as much quality over there as they do here. Would it surprise me to see it win? No, it wouldn't. It looks like a decent animal. Let's keep going. We've got the Aidan O'Brien horse, Magna Gracia. Again, very decent horse. The last race it was in Doncaster. It looks like a very good horse. Again, for me, a bit skinny. In this competitive race, 9-2 is not looking a lot of value for something that's still not fully tested. And that's the problem you've got in the Guineas. So for me, I'm going to go to this one. I'm going to go with a bit of a punt, because there's 10 sovereigns that are probably more favoured O'Brien horse. I mean, this really looks the real deal. Now, the problem you've got is it's not run yet. It's not gone anything over 6 furlongs. There's a lot of ifs. I don't like that. It's not the best price to do lots of ifs on. But it looks like a smart horse. Now, the one that I would prefer to go for and take my risk on is the Haggis horse. He knows how to take it to Guineas races really well. He's given this a pretty smart race. You know, it won its race out to Newmarket the last time out, and it won reasonably well. It didn't show anything that wouldn't suggest that it wasn't a contender for this sort of race. So for me, I'm going to give Haggis a go on the basis of I have a lot of confidence in him as a trainer to get the horse right. It looks to be going the right way. The 2 races it had suggests that it's got Guineas form. So for me, I'm going to take... should we go for 4 places? I'm going to go 4 places. I'm going to take the 8-1 on it. I think that's a very decent price, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this backed into 6-1 by tomorrow. So I'm going to take that now. So I've got my 4 horses. I've got my 4 choices. Let me just pull this across so you can see. So I'm going for 150 Newmarket Exec Chef. I'm going for 220 Judicial Newmarket Corun, 240 Goodwood, and the 335 at Newmarket Shark Do. And I'm going to do the lucky 15, as I said it was. £1 each way. So if you want to put in what your choices are for today, put your choices for the 150 Newmarket, the 220 Newmarket, the 240 Goodwood, and the 335 Newmarket, and we'll see how you compare with me, and we'll see how I do as well. So good luck to everyone, and hopefully some of the conversation will help you pick your horse. You might not agree with me, that's fine, cool. And I hope you have some good luck. I'll put this on now, so it's on. Great. And I will see you for the next horse tips for next week. I hope you had good luck this week. Bye.